Protests have erupted in Hong Kong on the 23rd anniversary of the city's handover to China. Pro-democracy activists in Hong Kong are out on the streets condemning the newly enacted national security law. Hong Kong police have made their first arrest under a new anti-protest law. Police say 2 people were held for breaching the new law, including a man holding a pro-independence flag. Close to 30 people have been arrested by the Hong Kong police. Some of them have been charged under the new national security law. And Hong Kong's police chief has warned protesters that they will be arrested and prosecuted under the new law for displaying pro-independence materials. For the first time in 17 years, citizens have been denied permission to organize the annual pro-democracy rally to mark Handover Day.
From Wednesday, South Korea began treating severe COVID-19 patients with Remdesivir. The Korea Centers for Disease Control and Prevention signed a deal last month with the U.S.-based pharmaceutical giant Gilead Sciences, under which it will get the drug free of charge for a month. That was after Remdesivir was approved for import by the Ministry of Food and Drug Safety based on an emergency request from the KCDC.
The Central Clinical Commission has agreed on the safety and effectiveness of the drug and suggested that it be imported given that there is no other antiviral medication available at the moment.
If a hospital wants to use Remdesivir, it will have to make a request to the National Medical Center, which will decide on a case-by-case basis whether a patient should get it after consulting with the Central Clinical Commission.
About 2 weeks ago, North Korea blew up the Inner Korean Liaison Office as a retaliation against South Korea's sending of anti-Pyongyang propaganda leaflets to the north. Russian ambassador to Pyongyang Alexander Matsygora suggested that North Korea had taken such act since the recent leaflets contained obscenely edited photos of First Lady Ri Sol-ju, sparking serious outrage from both the officials and residents in Pyongyang. The propaganda leaflets indeed included provocative imagery of Ri Sol-ju photoshopped on the front cover of pornographic DVD. Ri's status in North Korea is as majestic as the leader Kim Jong-un. Unlike his father, Kim has accompanied his wife to public schedules and strengthened her position as the First Lady. Thus, the North Korean newspaper Rodong-sinmun even said plotting to harm the regime's supreme dignity is more threatening than Seoul and Washington's joint military drills.
The other night on my show, I said that the Black Lives Matter organization, the group, are anti-police, anti-white, anti-free speech, anti-capitalist, anti-family, neo-Marxist revolutionaries. And I said I wouldn't make such an enormous accusation without proof. Well, here's your proof. The Black Lives Matter founders and leaders in their own words. First up, Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Cullors admits that she and fellow co-founder Alicia Garza are trained Marxists. Watch.
I think is that we actually do have an ideological frame. Myself and Alicia in particular are trained organizers. We are trained Marxists.
Then you can check the Black Lives Matter website itself, which calls for, quote, a national defunding of police.
All right, going on to our first story now. The Auditor General, that's Kimi Makwetu, says there has not been much progress in the handling of finances at South Africa's municipalities. In fact, he reports that fruitless and wasteful expenditure amounted to over 32 billion rand due to fraud and corruption in the past financial year.
Fraud and corruption, irregular expenditure, has been picked up in 91% of the country's municipalities in the past financial year. That is up from 85% of municipalities that were found to have spent money unlawfully in the previous financial year. So things are getting worse in that regard. Also, he has found that 79%, that's virtually 80% of municipalities in the country at the moment, are in a bad financial state.
Air Canada is cancelling 30 domestic routes and shutting down operations at 8 regional airports. The airline says these steps are necessary because the demand for travel has dropped during the pandemic. The cancelled routes originate in Saskatchewan, Ontario, Quebec, and Atlantic Canada. Company executives say air travel is not likely to pick up in the near future because of government-imposed travel restrictions and border closures. The airline says it expects the industry's recovery to take at least 3 years. It says it will consider other changes, including more service suspensions in the coming weeks.
But for COVID-19, Belgium's King Philippe would be in the Democratic Republic of Congo. He's apologised he can't be in the capital Kinshasa, where they're marking the 60th anniversary of independence. And he's become the first reigning Belgian monarch to express regret for the country's colonial past. In a letter to Felix Tshisekedi, the president of the DRC, King Philippe conveys his deepest regrets for the acts of violence and cruelty and the suffering and humiliation inflicted on Congo. There was no apology from him or from Belgium's Prime Minister, Sophie Wilmès, seen here in Brussels unveiling a plaque commemorating the DRC's 60th anniversary. Wilmès stressed the importance of recognising the suffering caused by colonialism.